Good afternoon. This is the monthly meeting of the Dayton Stormwater Committee. It's Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. Calling the meeting to order at 1:12 p.m. We're in the Old Town Hall, upper level meeting room, 1111 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Mass. This is a public meeting being video and audio recorded for posting on YouTube. And we have the Zoom number, which is the same on all of these. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for Mr. Rhines.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Tim Rhines served on this committee as the representative for the planning board. And he served in several other positions in town. And I remember him saying, when he came to the Stormwater Committee, I had no idea what you guys did. Didn't really understand the whole thing. But once I got involved with the committee, I realized how important the work was, and I really enjoyed serving with you. So he passed away suddenly, last Thursday, I believe. So in memory of Timothy Rhines, I ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Roll call.
David Phillips here.
Mrs. Caldonia.
Here.
I'm very good.
Nancy Goulart here. We have a quorum. The selectmen reappointed the members whose terms expired in June of '23. And so we have to organize the committee. So usually we have a selectman do this, but they all work during the day. So I asked Shara Costa, the town clerk, if she would come and organize the committee. So as chairman, I declare all positions vacant, and I asked Ms. Costa to take over the meeting.
Hello. I'd like to call for nominations for chairman of Stormwater Committee.
Nancy, you still want to serve?
Unless everyone else is clamoring. Yes, I'll serve if I'm elected.
I make a motion to appoint Nancy Goulart.
Wait a minute, she's got to go through the process.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Is there any other nominations for chairman? I'd like to declare nominations for chairman closed. And I guess
You call the vote now.
all right, I'm going to call a vote. All in favor of Nancy Goulart for chairman of Stormwater Committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So there we go. So Nancy Goulart is duly elected chairman. I'd like to call for nominations for clerk for the Stormwater Committee.
Mr. Ferry, are you willing to serve?
Okay.
You notice how strongly he said sure.
Is there any other nominations for clerk for the Stormwater Committee? I'd like to call a vote in favor of Tom Ferry for clerk for the Stormwater Committee.
Aye.
You're going to vote, Mr. Ferry? You're going to, no, you can vote for yourself, or you can abstain. You better not say nay.
All right, so call for a vote. You said yes. So Tom Ferry, you are the clerk for the Stormwater Committee. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Foster.
that was easy. Thank you.
Everyone took their oath since the selectmen's,
Correct.
okay,
So
yeah.
I didn't have any open,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shara.
No problem.
Agenda item 5A, Brook Street Solar. Ahmed Hafez and Jonathan Prasad were here just before the meeting started. I told them I didn't expect to have much on this agenda item because I spoke to Jim Reardon from Weston and Sampson earlier this morning, and he told me he would not be here. And he really had nothing new to report. There's a question about whether or not that meeting with the planning board is going to take place tonight. I'm waiting to hear from Kerry or Jeff Cavallo. The concern is that when the proposal from Weston and Sampson was initially put together to review Brook Street, the proposal was accepted, and as was the amount of money to fund the work. However, the project has not been fully funded by the owner of the solar farm. And we have an invoice pending, and I was told we don't have sufficient funds to pay. So the planning board may cancel tonight and say the money needs to be in hand before any more work is done. So as soon as I find out if we're meeting tonight or not, I'll let you know. I would prefer we meet tonight and look at the plans that were submitted, because if there's anything else that needs to be done, they can be told tonight they've got to do some more work. If it's delayed, then there'll be no discussion of those plans and it will further delay it. If by chance the meeting is held tonight and planning board okays the plans and Stormwater does too, it will, in my feeling is it would be approved conditionally, meaning no construction can start on the new or adjusted system until the money's received. So I relayed that message to Mr. Hafez and Mr. Prasad. So again, as soon as I get the word, I'll get it out to you. That's all we can do there. Does anybody have any questions on Brook Street? As far as I know, nothing's going on around down there. Because it can't. Agenda item 5B. This is the Arujo Solar Farm. There's just a note on here that the pilot agreement was approved at town meeting, which doesn't affect this committee. Weston and Sampson said they had nothing new to report on the MACS/Arujo Solar Farm. It seems to me at the last meeting, they were waiting for some information, but as of right now, they had nothing. So does anybody have questions on that solar farm? Okay. All right, agenda item 5, that should be 6. Active project updates, Weston and Sampson. All right, so let's see, 6A, Blue Wave. I think Weston and Sampson was waiting for some, I'll call it minor information. Lisa and I did do a site visit there, one of the hottest days going. And I sent some pictures out just so you could see. We were out there mainly to see if the areas where there had been erosion and runoff, if that had been corrected. I got to tell you, the growth out there, we could have used machetes. We were not inside the fence where the panels were. We were outside the fence. And the weeds and the ground cover and the poison ivy and everything else that's growing there had really taken off. Until we got to the really far back corner, southwest, and there, even the ground cover under the panels was sparse. And Nick Fasendola was with us, the engineer. What was the other gentleman's name?
It wasn't fast, it was It was Rich.
Rich Riccio, I'm sorry, next Fascindola is Brook Street. Rich Riccio, the engineer,
House.
Greg Morehouse. So we did walk the perimeter, and finally, he was able to open a gate and we walked in under the panels. And that section of panels is where at our previous meeting, they had a drone picture and it was sparse. And that area is probably going to have to be reseeded. But we continued walking and we got down to the section where the drone photo showed there was good ground cover. That's where the farming is going to take place. And at our last meeting, the gentleman in charge of the agricultural operations just wanted to know if he's good to go. And he was told, yes, agriculture is exempt from stormwater bylaw and regulations now that you have ground cover. If he didn't have ground cover to begin with, he couldn't go in there and start agriculture. But the fact that the ground cover was there and we saw it in the drone picture and we saw it, the agricultural part, which is the part closest to Tremont Street, I'm sure they're probably starting stuff in there. We saw a small tractor and other equipment, so that part's going to move along. Again, the growth outside the chain link fence, for the most part, was really high. And I also wanted to, one of the pictures I sent was the concrete thing with the weir grate. I didn't know what a weir grate was. Now I do. But that whole area around out there beyond that picture was, I'll say, lush green and jungle-like. So do you have anything on Blue Wave?
Yes, so for the Conservation Commission, they submitted a request for a certificate of compliance. So that being said, there are as-built plans that go along with that. So I forwarded them over because the design needs to be confirmed. So I forwarded them to Weston and Sampson and we're waiting for a proposal. Actually, we did receive a proposal. We did. So the Conservation Commission is going to be considering that tomorrow night. Just an update as far as conservation is concerned.
All set?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ferry.
Yes, you guys are all set. Mrs. Morrison's on Zoom.
Hi, yes, Alexandra Morrison with Mill Creek. Yeah, I think we're as was mentioned, we're getting good grass growth out there and we're kind of moving forward to try and close out all of our permits. So I think what we are just wondering if there's anything that the committee needs before we can begin to close out those permits, if a vote is needed in order to move forward. I think we're just, looking to see what else we could do to get the site wrapped up.
Okay, I would think that Stormwater won't take any final action until we find out if conservation's all set. And since that meeting is tomorrow night, did you say?
Yeah.
Then we could schedule it. I know of nothing pending except, again, Weston and Sampson is going to be doing some work for conservation. I did speak to Jim Reardon today. He had nothing new to report, but I don't know if he had anything hanging. So for right now, Stormwater has nothing from you that it's aware of, but I just want to make sure the other board is all set. And sometimes when Weston and Sampson does a review, if they pick up anything that they think Stormwater should know about, they'll tell us. All right. So I think we should wait to see where we are with that. But other than that, as far as I know, things are okay. Now, Blue Wave is up and running, right?
You mean the panels or the farming activity?
Not the farming, you're generating electricity.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, because I received a large package of information that contains documents from National Grid. And so I've got to give them to the appropriate office at the town hall, because that's not something Stormwater would hold on to. But I did see all the package and saw that you had signed the interconnection agreement and everything that goes with that. So again, that's not our turf, but I just wanted you to know we got that information.
Okay, yeah, good to know. I can definitely
Okay.
let everyone know that. So then just to confirm, just about procedural, does the Stormwater Committee need to vote on closing out any permits, or are we just waiting for the Concom side of things?
We would vote to close it as a final thing,
Okay,
but again, it's not a major, as we sit here right now, this isn't a major thing. It's a more of a formality, but I don't think it would be wise to close out the permit when I know that one other commission in town has asked Weston and Sampson to look at something.
Yes, so we just wanted, conservation is just having, the final as-built compared to what was approved, so, just making sure that it was built as approved.
of
And
course.
if there's any deviations,
And
just work it out.
And that's pretty standard. We have another solar farm on William Street that last thing I heard was Weston and Sampson was waiting for as-bills. We don't have anything right now, the Stormwater Committee, relative to that. But until we hear from Weston and Sampson, we won't take a final vote and say, okay, it's done. And then obviously what happens into the future would be follow-up inspections and maintenance and all that other stuff that goes on once the project is up and running.
Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, so I believe that a check is being sent today for Weston and Sampson for the additional work that was mentioned. So hopefully that should be getting there as soon as possible. So then, yeah, I just to clarify on timeline. So well, then you'll be, I assuming, be voting on the next meeting. Or is it possible to do like a vote contingent upon like the Weston and Sampson review today? I'm just trying to figure out timeline.
No, because Weston and Sampson, I spoke to him and I know he told me he was not going to be here today.
Okay.
And because this is not, unless something develops, it's a formality.
Okay.
My personal feeling is it can wait. But to take a vote and say everything's okay, contingent on, no, the final vote should be the final vote. So again, we'll see what comes out of the Concom meeting, which is tomorrow night.
Okay. Yeah, no, appreciate it. And I totally understand. And Greg will be there in person tomorrow at the meeting tomorrow night.
At the Concom meeting?
Yes. Yeah, apologies, he's not here today. He has a conflicting schedule.
Oh, no problem. Is there anything else relative to Blue Wave? Any questions, comments? So I'm curious, has the farmer started farming yet? Oh, you don't know?
To my knowledge, I believe they started a small amount. I think they did a small amount of tilling and just like rock removal, but I don't believe they've planted anything.
Yeah, I know they had rocks and stuff to remove. Oh, I should mention that when Lisa and I went out, Jim Cabral was there, the property owner also. Obviously, he did not walk the site with us for health reasons. And after we did it, I felt like we should have had health reasons not to do it.
So if they're harvesting rocks right now, they should be assured rock farming bank is pretty well,
It's awesome.
pretty profitable.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much is out there, but I know they're just trying to make sure everything is good to go.
Okay, we all set on Blue Wave? Okay. Agenda item 6B, MACS Arujos. As I said, when I spoke to Jim Reardon, he had nothing new to report. As I remember, the last thing I heard was they were waiting for as-bills, and Pete Warren was going to get as-bills to Weston and Sampson. So I don't know if they've gotten them. So this will be on the agenda for the next meeting to see if there's anything new to report. Eventually, we will have a final vote on that one too, after everyone else is all set and Weston and Sampson is all set. So,
There's no butter on some.
oh, Mr. Christopherly, did you have any questions?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
All right, yeah, nothing at this point. I would just comment that I'm still experiencing water in my basement, which has been an ongoing problem, as you guys know. And then the other concern that I have, and I've reached out to the building inspector. I don't believe he's in attendance. I've reached out to him multiple times, just trying to understand when the screening will happen. You know, the fence has been up for over a year now and none of the screening has happened.
What are they gonna put up for screening? Is it trees or is it a fence?
Trees, there's a whole litany of plantings that were part of the original plan. So there is a fence, but they were going to do, based on the planning board approved design, there was a significant amount of screening done. And then, you know, I don't know if this changes now that Clearway is not the owner. Clearway and can't think of Pete Warren's company. They were going to meet with me and adjust screening, you know, as applicable, you know, based on the proximity. So none of the screening has happened. It's just a fence.
The fact that it went from Clearway to MACS, whatever that stands for, would not relieve the new owners of whatever the planning board required.
Okay.
Have you checked with Kerry at all? Is planning aware that this planting screening has not been completed?
That I don't know. I would assume that's being managed by them and the building inspector.
Just a comment, we're definitely outside the planting season right now, so June 15th is like the deadline for an acceptable planting time. So they'd have to wait until the fall,
Okay.
assuming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had told me they were going to do it in the spring, and you know, obviously they moved off the project, and who knows what's happening now.
yeah, maybe they want to make sure that they're all set with the committees as far as the final grades before they plant, but I have no idea what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was concerned with that, and you know, you guys have mentioned the Brook Street project. Certainly, you know, half of those plants are dead. You know, not something I want to be looking at once they finalize planting.
Well, Mr. Christofouli, the other thing too is if you were to drive on Tremont Street, where Blue Wave is located on the corner of Tremont and Middle, on the street side of the fence, you're gonna see dead evergreens. And when I was out there, I asked about that, and the answer was just what Lisa said. All those dead trees have to be replaced at the appropriate time. So
Okay.
just like the seeding that they've got to do down in the southwest corner, they're going to do it during the planting season. So all the solar farms that are in need of either initial planting or replanting, it looks like now Mother Nature's controlling this until fall. But the other thing too is my understanding is based on the plans that were approved, even after the initial planting up in your area, if they die out, whoever owns that solar farm has got to go back and replace them. It's not a one-shot deal and leave town.
Yep. Yeah, I would just, you know, express a concern. You know, I know there's some other issues over on Pine Street, you know, with the landowner there has actually put their own trees up based on lack of maintenance. So again, just noting it for the record
Okay,
and as an abutter concern.
okay.
Thanks for
just-
giving me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, anybody else have anything on MACS, which is Arujo's? Okay. Agenda item, this should be 7, which is new business, meeting dates, Board of Selectmen, status of the Stormwater Committee. I don't expect a meeting anytime soon, simply because of what happened at town meeting. Also because of new appointments, the Board of Health, and I have talked to Mrs. Catavia, who as of my talking to her, was the only member of the Board of Health, but they conducted interviews. And they may have selected 2 people. I think there was a meeting yesterday sometime. I didn't make it to it. I had hoped to sit in, but I didn't. So there will be names presented to the Board of Selectmen to appoint 2 members to the Board of Health, because after the town meeting, when the director of the Board of Health position was unfunded and totally eliminated, the chairman of the Board of Health quit, and the person holding the other position, director of Board of Health, also quit. In talking to Mrs. Catavia, what I said to her was, when this Board of Health gets its full membership and gets organized, I'm going to send a letter to them and ask them to please appoint somebody to the Stormwater Committee. So we have our full 7-member committee. A representative from the actual Board of Health was part of the original appointments. And up until, I'll say, a year or so ago, the Board of Health actively participated in this committee. She agreed she enjoyed her time with this committee. She knows what the committee does. She knows the importance of it. And she assured me we would be eventually getting a 7th member. So I don't think we'll be meeting with the Board of Selectmen to discuss the status of the Stormwater Committee, because I think so far what has happened since town meeting has been more positive. So we'll wait to see how that all comes out. The Board of Selectmen did reappoint 4 members whose terms expired in June of this year. And everyone has taken their oath of office. So we're all back again. And we'll be looking for that other member. So, and the other thing too is, so as far as the status goes, I would say Stormwater, I expect to have it come back to its full 7-member committee. I'm anticipating that, based on conversations with Mike Mullen before he left, and also Jim Purcell, the interim town administrator, the money from ARPA has been approved. It's somewhere around in excess of $45,000 to fund the contract that Weston and Sampson submitted well over a year ago to sit down and go through the town's stormwater bylaw and regulations, also our stormwater management plan, our illicit discharge plan, bring all of this up to speed. It's a lot of work, but we're going to have the help of professional engineers. And eventually the bylaw will be going to town meeting. But along the way, we'll be getting input, we'll have feedback, whatever. So I'm feeling positive about the future of the Stormwater Committee at this point. We'll just, I'll just keep you updated on this as it moves along. We're just waiting for the money to come in from the county, because the ARPA money went in our part of the state, the money went to Bristol County. And my understanding is the commissioners have approved it. It's a matter of sending the money to the town so that we can hire Weston and Sampson. So I think that's a plus.
There is a deadline, though, to use that one. December.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
He's contracted.
Oh, wow.
He has to be contracted.
Yeah. The good thing is, the person that's going to do it, I'm thinking, the first name is Jarice, Jaurice. I've talked to her a few times, not recently. The good thing is, she's reviewed our bylaw and our regulations. This is what she does as an engineer. She isn't going to have to start from page 1. She's aware of the requirements that the EPA had, that the DEP did not put into the Mass Stormwater Handbook. So rest assured, when our stuff is written, we'll be in compliance. I've got to send another progress report to Newton Tedder at the EPA, because I don't want him to think I'm trying to put him off, but I want to tell him that we're just waiting for the money, which has been approved. So don't send us any fine letters. And I don't mean everything's fine. I mean the other kind of fine letters.
So is it something where the contract goes to Bristol County
No.
and then they release the funds?
No.
Okay.
But we need to have the contract in place.
We have the whole description and everything. The last thing I heard before Mike left was that it was on the docket for approval, and somebody at the county level said, well, this is kind of an old proposal. How about updating it? Well, the only updating that had to take place was put a date on it, a newer date. The proposal is still the same. They wanted to make sure that the dollars quoted would handle the work. And my understanding is the dollars were, they said, no, this is the money we need, even though it's taken this long. It's funny the way things happen. In parts of the state, when ARPA money was available, individual communities had the money sent to them, and they determined what they would submit. Excuse me. In our case, Bristol County, it went to the commissioners, and they're the ones that have to review everything. It's like another level. But that's how it's done in Bristol County, so that's what we've been waiting for. I know there was some discussion at a community in Plymouth County, and one of the selectmen had told me that initially the county, Plymouth County, wanted to control it, and the community said, absolutely not. No, what's ours we want sent to us. We apply for it, we'll determine based on what we say how it'll be spent. But again, we didn't participate in that decision. 7B, planning board meeting tonight. I've already mentioned that, so we're waiting to hear if that's on or not.
We need a quorum there tonight.
Yes,
They have a series of storms coming through. They hit us at that time, but they could be severe.
I'll be there. You don't have to be there.
well, Dave, you're planning board. Woody's,
No, I'm not planning.
oh, you're not
board,
planning board, but you're
But I'll
gonna
be there.
Woody's
Woody's
planning board.
Yep,
Okay, and I'm planning to be there if we meet.
yep.
Yeah, Mr. Ferry's in charge of weather, so we have to let him take care of the weather. Unanticipated items. I looked at my calendar and realized that the August meeting is scheduled when I'm not here. So that doesn't work. I think it was, what's the third Wednesday? Is it the
21st.
21st? Okay. So what I need to know is, do you want to meet, you want to reschedule that ahead of time? I won't be back until the end, I get back in September, early September, like the Labor Day or something.
You already be gone that whole week.
That whole week?
I was just wondering if we could meet the 20th or 19th. How about the week before?
The week before would be better. The 20th is when I actually leave.
What would really happen after tonight that would need a follow-up meeting that early?
Well, if Brook Street gets resolved tonight, even with conditions, then that wouldn't be on the agenda. I'm not concerned about Blue Wave or MACS because, again, we're just waiting to find out what Weston and Sampson says. However, as you're aware, we have a proposal that's going to be coming before us relative to some drainage on private property, but because of the nature of it, and Tom knows all the details, it's got to come before the Stormwater Committee. The person who is proposing this has sent us information. He's engaged an engineer, And his email today said he's also engaged a surveyor to make sure that where he wants to do this is his land. So that's something, if he gets everything done, I would like it to come before the Stormwater Committee. So a meeting the week before would be good.
Correct. Scheduled for the 14th.
14th, right?
Is that 14th? Is that 14th of August? Lisa?
That whole week is a little, if we have to do, sure. I might have to attend remotely, but yeah.
Okay. The other thing too is, once I hear from him that he's got the information he needs, I mean, like I say, he's doing it professionally. He's got an engineer, he's got a surveyor.
Lisa's already been, out on the property. We have some pictures here to share if you'd like.
Okay, that's a good idea. It's, the street is, Sunny's Way. Okay. So if we can move these things along, just to help this gentleman, obviously, when he's, he wants to get this done. Mr. Ferry's aware of it, and he's, as he said, he and Lisa have made site visits. So this is all at his expense, on his property. So he's going about it the right way as far as saying to the town, what do I have to do? What do I need from you?
He wasn't ready for today because we're still laying out some stuff, the HOA. That should be resolved by then.
We did get a letter from the HOA. It's in the package, yeah. I don't,
Well, of course, it was, we can finalize the date, that's what we discussed.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, and I shouldn't really get into this because it's not on the agenda, but this is something I would want to cover. So is there a motion to set the date for the August meeting at August 14th?
So moved.
For a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. So August 14th, 1 PM here will be the August meeting. Heather, if you would just make a note to yourself for that August agenda, that we have this project down under new business. If he's ready to go with everything, it'll be on. If he's not, we'll do it in September. But I don't want to leave him out if we can do anything ahead of time because he's ready. Anything else, unanticipated items? Public input?
Yeah, Diamond Conservation is updating our bylaws. We're hoping to bring that to fall meeting, so if anybody has any input, if anybody has seen it, it's on our website, Conservation Commission's website. The current one is there, and we'll be talking about some of our ideas of what we want to do to update it at the meeting tomorrow night.
I can see, I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
It's radically going to change our operations.
Well, we've been talking about it now for like 4 months, 3 or 4 months, but
Yeah.
yeah, one of the items is also to include you on making sure you get notified when you receive something and making sure your input is included as far as review.
Oh, so you're not,
As a DPW director.
okay, so you're not after my behavior.
You might want to consider adding Stormwater Committee notification, because sometimes we look at stuff, like you look at our stuff and you say, oh yeah, we got to get involved, or no, that's not us.
Yeah,
So that would be good too, so things don't fall through the cracks.
yeah. More emails for you and more paper.
The only correspondence that I'm aware of is we did receive a notification from the Wellington Acres Homeowners Association relative to the project that I mentioned that we want to put on the August agenda. And it was just giving permission to the gentleman that's asking to do this drainage work. So we'll just put that in the file for the next meeting, so we have that. Minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th, May 15th, and June the 5th. June 5th was the last meeting we had, and it was the joint meeting with the planning board. It was the public hearing on Brook Street Solar. So is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion to approve these minutes.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just to mention, at that planning board meeting, June the 5th, it was continued because there was additional work that needed to be done. And Weston and Sampson did get the information they needed. They did issue a letter. But it was, it may be on the, again, if the meeting takes place tonight, that letter will be part of it. But other than that, that's what the Stormwater Committee was there for. So the only votes we took were to adjourn the meeting. And so that's where we are with that. Report on expenses. Mr. Ferry, the 2025 calendars, how much has been set aside encumbered?
Covered 2,500.
Okay. So that's from the FY '24 budget.
Zero that out first with that Friday. Same one.
When the budget closed out, did we have any money left in that budget? Did we have any year-end expenses? Because we haven't had any reports of we spent money on this or that. There would have been year-end transfers, right, to cover.
There was some left over in the police detail line that I needed to utilize in 42, and also the regular highway personnel. The amount of hours between 42 and 432 supposed to be divided between budgets, so we need not a certain number of hours was not used in stormwater, so that money had to be transferred to pay the payroll.
Okay. Was there any money left in the budget when we were done?
Just the police detail was the biggest part.
Okay, all right. Because the finance committee always says, oh, they had money left. That means we're going to cut them next year. So I know you managed the budget pretty close. So thank you, Mr. Ferry. His other title is he's our budget director. Another title. So the 2024 calendar. I don't know how this happened, but I can't imagine this happened as part of a grid when you buy a calendar setup. And I'm wondering if the kids were having a little fun. So I just want everyone to know, when you come to the month of November, we found this at a assessors meeting. We were setting up our calendar for the rest of the year. And there was a big gap, and I says, that doesn't make any sense. So we pulled the calendar. So for the month of November, we go through the 16th, and then we go 20, 21, 22, 17, 18, 19, 23. Now, my understanding is from the teacher who I worked with, they buy the format for the calendar. You just tell them how big a calendar you want. So they have the software set up. I'm wondering if some kid decided to have a little fun. Because I can't imagine this coming in from the rest of the calendar's okay. But it was, you got to be kidding me. How does that happen? So anyhow.
I don't think that was a kid. That didn't.
You don't think, you don't think a kid would do that?
I wouldn't do it.
We wouldn't have you on that project, Mr. Ferry. It's a great picture anyhow. But, so I just want people to know when they come to that and they say, what? At least we have Thanksgiving on the right day, which is a plus. And, and we have Black Friday down, correct? So we're gonna have Thanksgiving and the big sale day, and we have Veterans Day. But I couldn't believe it. We sat there at the assessors meetings. Unbelievable. Thanks, kids. Okay, does anyone else have anything for the next agenda, other than the usual stuff and the one project I mentioned? I don't know of anything else coming. If it does, we'll add it. If not, there's nothing else to discuss. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Well,
I'll second it.
motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. It's what's that, 50 what, Tom? 158?
Wait, 156.
156. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.